allow the two children to attend the budget every year.
It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
She
Off your mind.
like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don off mic. And if we talk, na 500,000 they go sama us, call am hate speech. But fear not, Mayegun don come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people wey dey spoil our country. So my people make we loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary politico, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. This one na dey off in mind, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Can he dey touchlight every corner, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Okay, some people be dey holla say dem want the power. Chai, dem be promise us say we go get light and power. Dem hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get it higher power over naira. Still them talk say make we off mind. But thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make we shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun diary politico, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. This one not dey off in mind, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Person wey dey do evil no wan make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too dey talk. He too dey talk. Say Mayegun diary, he dey hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Poor man pikin dey the street dey hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don come. So my people make you loud, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. My people make you shout, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, oh yo yo. Mayegun don come, man of the masses, oh yo yo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Bó bá ṣe eré, àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré, wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Mayegun diary, diary politico. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun diary, Mayegun number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Mayegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. àní ẹ̀sùn àjò.
Máyégún ti dé.
Ijó ìgbádìyẹ,
Máyégún máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn àjò.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o,
Máyégún máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn àjò.
Máyégún ti dé.
Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ,
Máyégún máa wí.
àní ẹ̀sùn àjò.
Máyégún
Today. Hello there. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is Mayegun live. Thank you very much for joining me. Please, as a reminder, right, read beyond the caption of the broadcast. Read the description of the broadcast. Take your time. Then like the broadcast. Share it. To invite your friends and your not so friendly friends. Tell them that Mayegun today. And of course, you can sit back and relax to savor what I have brought to you this hour. Brethren, the thiefnubu's camp, APC, Egbekegbe, as you possibly must have noticed, are in a serious frenzy as we speak, simply because Utomi, you know him, Patito's gang, right? So Utomi, the former ADC presidential candidate, and of course, the ally to Peter Obi, has dropped a bombshell, kind of, when after taking thiefnubu's failed regime to the cleaners, and he went on to announce that the opposition are currently, planning, as in would, as a matter of time, right, that they are going to form their own shadow government. So shadow government is alternative government. So what thiefnubu and APC, what they are currently offering you. Now, Utomi is currently in America, so he's not very close to the Nigerian borders. However, the Dokpemu stupid service quickly, right, dragged him to a court. And their case against him is that he's capable of inciting Nigerians against thiefnubu's government to cause unrest by suggesting a shadow government, alternative government to thiefnubu's. Meanwhile, sometimes in 2014, this was like 15 or 16 years ago, when the same APC, Egbekegbe, then as an opposition, threatened the then government that they would form their own parallel government if, by any reason, Goodluck Egbere Julantan should declare himself the winner of that election, among many other promises they made him, including the Boko Haram to completely overrun Nigeria and Nigeria going into a civil war. That was how deadly and, like, should I say lawless or daring the APC, Egbekegbe, they were. So, Utomi that appeared on, on one of these channels, TV's program, right, addressed the thiefnubu's regime head on like this. So we're going to start with that tonight. What kind of prompted thiefnubu's regime to move into a frenzy, like sort of like a scary mode, kind of, hearing that the opposition could actually will form their own parallel governments? It's about to get messy. Watch this.
It's possible. If we could only focus on issues, it will save us where we've come to in Nigerian politics. But there is a tendency to go ad hominem in the culture of the APC. If you get on the internet, one of the things you read there that I was saying about being born in the North, school in the West and all of that, and knowing Nigeria. If you got on social media, you would think Nigerians are haters of each other because the venom with which they're insulting people. This is Nigeria I grew up in. At Nsukka as an undergraduate, they called me Yoruba boy. People didn't realize that I was actually Igbo because 80% of my friends in Nsukka were Yoruba boys. And my politics have always been around Southwest type things. So to come to where we are in Nigeria today, for me, mentally, it's just not possible to reconcile it. Is this Nigeria that I know? Is this how people think of each other? It's not. So, it's clear that politicians have accentuated identity politics to be able to achieve personal goals. They don't seem to realize how much it has destroyed the country, torn its fabric, such that it makes achieving goals very, very difficult. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. But I don't know what their goals are. So I don't want to speak to Felix Morka's comments in any personal way. Let's take on the issues that he's brought up. First of all, about
the shadow government.
Shadow government being, what did he say it was?
In a presidential democracy.
Yeah. Nothing can be more democratic than a group of citizens getting together to say, let's find a structured way of asking governments to be more accountable. What could possibly be more democratic than that? I like it.
So
he came from a...
Yeah.
Anyway, let's leave that.
Okay, so let's get to some of the issues, and I want to ask some direct questions, Prof. One of my first direct question is, what is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doing wrong? And where do you see that wrong action taking us to?
See, again, you come to an area that I don't want to personalize things. Let's take policy, specific policies, and look at how they have been implemented, how they have not worked. And I can speak to how that is not going the way. And in my statement, I dealt with a number of them. Look, let's take the issue of pain. The people are feeling pain. In our country, people are really dying, suffering. There's hunger in the land. The way government carries on, you will not believe that is the case. And I use examples. When the government bought a befitting presidential jet, we had a lovely 737 presidential jet, but we bought a more befitting one at a time when most of our citizens could not act out a bare human type survival. In our history, you can go back to 1976. As a young youth copper back then, we gave General Obasanjo hell for small things. But look at the kinds of things that he did. When oil prices dropped a few notches, he said that we could not afford to live the way we were living, that we had to cut our coat according to our cloth, not according to our size. He came down to a Peugeot 404 as the official state car. We know of a president in this world who drives around himself in his Volkswagen Beetle in Latin America. What is wrong with going even in your SUV? Why spend the kind of money we've spent buying this beast, or whatever they call that monster that is now a new presidential car? Not talk of new jets. You can't be doing things like that and ask people to sacrifice. No, you lead by example. But it seems like the Nigerian political class thinks that it should be given everything to live luxuriantly at the expense of a dying people. That is not acceptable to me as a citizen. And I think that we must reverse those kinds of ways of thinking about public life.
Prof, we got here because of two policies. Removing subsidy from PMS, removing subsidy from FX in that sense, and now for Band A people, that subsidy is also gone in that sense. What could he have done differently? I mean, as a policy direction, because the argument they also have is to the effect that all the frontliners had made similar promises.
Yeah, which is one of the big lies about that. And I want to give a clear example. You see, petroleum subsidy was a source of big abuse. Now people go back to say, you see, you fought it under Jonathan. When the thing was fought under Jonathan, the point I personally made in 1911 or 12, when the demonstrations were taking place, is it is not about removing subsidy. It is the corruption that is called subsidy. Part of the reason they were doing it around that time is elections were approaching. They wanted the so-called marketing companies to take the advantage of this so-called subsidy thing to fund the PDP. You can play games whatever you like or not. It's the corruption that I've always criticized. Subsidy is 70% corruption. If you really are serious, okay, this government is unfolding all kinds of things in NNPC. Haven't I been shouting about this for forever? I, on this channel, said a couple of months ago that NNPC was the most opaque organization in the world.
Which is true. Now let's take a look at a few things that Utomi tried to pass on, right? Identity politics has destroyed Nigeria. That is not a lie. Like, you are going to admit that Nigeria has never been this divided. It has never been. Or it has never been this divisively pronounced, if there is anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, today, the level of distrust, the mistrust between the supposed indigenous people of Nigeria is so clear that even if you want to live in denial, it won't take long before you are going to wake yourself back to reality and say, well, this is what it is. So he's not lying. And to people like him, his own generation, that wasn't the Nigeria they grew up in. And I quite understand. I didn't travel much when I was growing up, right? But I met a lot of other people from other places across that contraption when I was growing up. And it was nice. So the generation that had all of that, quite more like moved around, understands the contraption so much and all that, and watching the whole place to become what it is right now, I can only imagine, right? Now, you can point fingers, which is fine. You can point fingers to what role he played in all of this, which is fine by me, right? But that won't negate or void the opposition that's yeah, identity politics. And if you also want to be very honest, the people that came with identity politics, the politics of where you come from, right? I mean, those who reminded us that we are not the same, it's no other than this APC. The last 10 years of Nigeria, for those of you, some of you became politically active a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. But to so many of us who have actually been politically active for the last 24 years and watched how everything went up in smokes, and we are watching the old deterioration right now, right? You can tell how APC amplified and weaponized religious politics, identity politics generally. You know what I'm talking about, right? You go to a stage whereby They were calling the Eastern Nigeria 5 plot of land because Bukwari, the president of Nigeria, somebody who was supposed to unite the country, went on TV, right, to tell the whole world that he would teach these Biafrans, he would teach them the lesson that their parents failed to some of, to teach them. He said they are just dots in a cycle that can just be wiped off. He's talking about over 60 million of people, just like that. President of a country, somebody was supposed to unite you. And of course, that's kind of escalated to what we have today. Now that you have Fulani versus the Igbo, Yoruba versus Igbo. When you see those who are weaponizing this, especially on social media, they are no other than the APC, Ebekebes agents. Then they will start gaslighting you. That's what they do as well, in case if you don't know. They will accuse you of what they are doing. Like what they are doing, they will accuse you of it. And they will stand by accusing you of it so that you will stop talking about them doing it. Gaslighting. Very good at it. So, what Utomi is not wrong, but democracy. Baba, you are lucky. They're supposed to declare you wanted. Shadow government simply means a government in waiting or an alternative government. So, with the failure of thiefnubu's regime that told people that they removed subsidies so that they could save some money for you, at the end of the day, you are still living in the austere state, austerity, while they are living very, very comfortably large. You are reading all the trillions, all the billions, tens of billions flying left, right, and center. Yet, more and more Nigerians are falling into poverty, deprivation, starvation, right? So he's right in that regard, but democracy. No, that's like, Baba, you are mixing it up. Nigeria is not practicing any democracy because what you have in Nigeria is a unitary system of government, militocracy, the government of the civilian managed by military. And that's what you have. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the people. So he's right when he said, the people have the right to form opinion. But in the Nigerian context, he's not right. I'm kind of surprised that they are not charging him for treason. But let him finish.
Organization in the world. Now, if we just seriously went and said, first thing, let's deal with the scam in this so-called subsidy, we would have removed 60% of what we call subsidy. Then we say, okay, having removed that, we don't want subsidy. What is left? How can we sequence the implementation that it does not trigger the kind of inflation that it did trigger? Yes, it will cause some inflation, but how can we manage it? So sequencing is a very critical part. Look, I was very involved in policy when we went through the structural adjustment program, and we talked about the J curve and all those lags. This will now kick in. And all that turned out to be a significant lie. It didn't kick in because there were many aspects of the process. And this is the new book I'm writing now, Why Some Nations Are Still Poor. Now, one of the most important things to put into the equation of an adjustment program of that nature is how to create markets. Clayton Christensen, with one of his former Nigerian students, Ojomo, and another of his students, wrote a book, The Prosperity Paradox. We have to focus on how do we create markets and how do we build entrepreneurs. It is those people who then fill in this pipeline. It is nothing automatic at all about, you remove subsidy, this, and then the economy will be good. It's lie. You create entrepreneurship, generate production, and with the production, as the pain is being felt, jobs being created, the exports that are taking place, providing foreign exchange, and you have a more balanced thing, and you grow your way out of that challenge. But not to have a strategy that includes all of this, it's a waste of time.
All right, Prof. One of the counter arguments they always have at the macroeconomic level, they say when you look at the macroeconomics dashboard, it looks better than the administration of Muhammadu Buhari. So they pick up things like increase in FX reserve. They talk about, of course, we've cleared this IMF, although I think the charges are still there, but they've talked about this IMF within default. They've also talked about the issue of using some of these funds for NEL fund. They also talk about record high revenue for subnationals through FAC. And a couple of other things they reel out as some of the gains in that sense of the removal of some of these subsidies. But it's going to take a bit of time, just like you said, for it to come to fruition. And so Nigerians should just calm down in that sense. Does that argument make sense to you?
And I am telling you that that's the same argument all of us made in 1986, and it didn't happen. Because the lag, so-called J-curve, doesn't just turn. We found that it didn't turn. And this is why I'm writing this book now, to show that it doesn't turn. Because we've not created entrepreneurship. We've not created markets. We have not raised production. As far as I know, Nigeria is not producing even to deal with the situation with food insecurity. Because there is insecurity in the land, the farmers are not going to the farms. Even many farmers have forgotten how to farm because insecurity has kept them away already for 7-8 years from farming. So they don't even know how to farm anymore. So a massive program that begins to re-teach farming, provides incentives, provides security for these people to now grow, and systematically says, okay, look, there's hunger in the land. There's certain things if we focus on, it will take 5 years, but there are food crops that grow in 3 months. So let's take these legumes and massively support people, military protection, bang, in 3 months, food plenty. While they are eating, you are dealing with the other kinds of produce that we need to deal with. But
just like thiefnubu and co will say, if they didn't have that same power right now, they will probably say the same thing. Oh, you should have. Remember when thiefnubu was giving his own idea on how to tackle insecurity and hunger under Buhari. Buhari was president then. Remember? Recruit 50 million youths into the army. All they will eat, cassava, gara, agbado, awen. He's grown here, right? That was his own theory. Now he's there now. They are yet to recruit even half of the Runupus and send them into the farms because the farms are currently occupied by, they suppose the senior citizens now, the terrorists. This is what the APC had to say to all of that, though. Belly smoker.
Do you apologize for some of the things you said?
Apology for what? I mean, I said nothing. I simply, used Pat's own construction to, critique his announcement. I mean, for example, he likened this government to, Nazi Germany, to Hitler in Nazi Germany. That, I think, was completely unbecoming and unacceptable of a man in his standing. I've known Prof for many years. I have nothing but respect for him. But, he's a human being as well, and people err. And when you err, and people, bring that to your attention, you can surely be humble to accept that which you probably, in hindsight, would not have done. Because I am sure that Pat, in all honesty, I want to grant him that benefit of the doubt, that he didn't mean to compare Nigeria with, a government that conducted, probably the most heinous crime known to humanity ever, under any circumstance. I think that was wrong. And so when he also said that President Tinubu was suppressing dissent, I disagreed vehemently, and I still disagree. Because the very fact that he took the microphone and made the announcement that he made, announcing a shadow government in this country, with...
Do you apologize?
Felix Mocker. What happened is that Utomi said a lot, though, not just on that program. There's another broadcast that he sort of like streamed on Sunday, where he also accused thiefnubu of being Abacha's spy in Nadeko. He said Abacha almost killed him in London, and who gave all the intel, his movements and his, what he's up to. It was a thiefnubu. But Sowore disagrees with all of that. Shadow government with Pat Utomi. Pat Utomi happened to be one of the thiefnubu's men. What changed? And you know that to Sowore, they are all the same, right? Listen to his own view on that.
Let's take it from Pat Utomi's latest idea. I mean, since this is about the future of Nigeria, he came up with this idea of a shadow government. And he says that, look, this is nothing against the system. It's not breaking the law, but he says that we need to have options tabled before the people, considering what he believes to be the thundering nature of state. What do you think about the idea?
Well, how do you replace a shadow government with another set of shadowy government? I do not begrudge anybody who thinks of solutions that can bring awareness to the people, to the point that they are pushed to do something about their social, political, and economic condition. But I do not think that setting up a government with names of people who call them a shadow government makes any difference. Because what is the shadow government going to be doing? So they're supposed to provide alternative to each of the existing government portfolios, parastatals, and ministries and departments. How does that work, really? Apart from the fact that it sounds esoteric. Nothing beyond the creation of that shadow government will have any impact on the situation that is afflicting Nigeria today.
Well, I mean, just to follow on that, the way I see it, it just reminds me of what we did, if you remember.
Yes.
In New York, I didn't call it the People's
Parliament. That's right.
Where we met regularly and we, expressed ourselves. Where that was a parliament is different from a cabinet. But I thought that is just, in my view, it seems to be a reflection of the failure of opposition to take government to task.
Well, I mean, if you look at it generally, it is a suitable match for parliamentary system of government. Where actually those kind of government are somewhat recognized. Yes, but in the system that we're in, and to go back to what we did was to respond in diaspora to the decadence or the urgency of that time. Nigeria had no president. The guy who they claimed was president was sick and nobody knew his whereabouts. But in addition to that, we weren't just meeting, we were protesting. Yeah, so we had and we had allies at home who were helping out, who were doing a lot of media work. But I'm just saying, so that it doesn't sound like, I pour cold water on. My attitude towards this is that the government in place is already a shadow government. It does nothing. So to now go and create another superstructure named shadow government, that's my view, is not going to have any impact on what these guys are doing.
Okay, so you don't see it as a reflection of the failure of opposition itself. What do you think?
I see it as a reflection of the weakness of opposition. That their best response to what is wrong with Nigeria is to go and borrow an idea that they know cannot work. It's like, okay, we have been beaten down, we don't know what to do, but please, we are coming, and you fly something, and you could tell by how fast it came and disappeared that, it just didn't catch.
See? So it's like, to Sowore, it's more or less like a fooling around. Tackle this thing head on. If would not be opposition, right? It is a little bit kind of like a contradictory too, in my own opinion. I'm talking about Sowore now, right? Sowore want opposition to prove that they are opposition. On the one hand, he is opposition too. So the idea of opposition coming together to now face this head on is not appealing to him. But that's what he's saying. Like, you see all this idea of shadow government, government, you know what I mean? Like, they are like, you know, they would never have any impact. You know, we're talking about Nigeria. So it's never going to, it's not as if to say the government of America would now say, oh, you know what? We're not going to deal with this druggie again. We're just going to deal with this group of people as the real government of Nigeria. It doesn't work that way. So I get it. But at the same time, going ahead, using your numerical strength, and the opposition showing that they are not weak or they don't want to remain weak, they are coming together. That should include all the oppositions, you know. I mean, you don't think so? Or Shore doesn't want to have anything to do with any of them, as much as it doesn't really have the numerical strength or the resources, you know, to take on these people. When I say resources, because you really need the number. So if people say, if they say they are opposition that want to tackle thiefnubu and they don't want to come together, so it's still a distraction, right? Just like Shura put it too, it's more or less like a distraction. And thiefnubu's regime, which is more or less like a shadow government too, you know, it's not there, you can't see it. An irresponsible set of rogues, also entitled, lying mouth, they're not there. Nigeria is like, Nigeria currently have no government. I mean, like, you don't have any government. That's where it is like, you don't have president, you don't have anything. But there is somebody parading himself as one, making decisions as one, but there's so much disconnect, right? That some of you actually would know that you don't have any president. You know what I mean? Talking about how identity politics have destroyed Nigeria, I'm still referring back to Pat Utomi's, using Pat Utomi's words, that he's not lying, okay? Today, it has, maybe not just now, like I said, it all started from when this APC, Egbe, took over Nigeria. Identity politics became nationalized, right? And also weaponized by these rogues. We have been speaking or exposing the systemic ethnic profiling of the Igbos in Nigeria. Evidently, it is not a victim mentality, and a reminder too that the reason why somebody like myself will continue to shine a light on this is because, number one, the Igbos don't need anybody's sympathy, because so far so good, they have proven that they can actually handle, you know, they can handle their own challenges. So they don't need somebody like me. They don't need any validation from me. But because when you call something systemic, it simply means that it is, you know, it affects all of us. Because in the long run, right, the biases of those who are supposed to be neutral in administering sort of like a governance, you know, system, what have you, in the country, the moment they become so compromised by their tribal, ethnic, religious, and other allegiances, then you have a problem within the system. And that's exactly what Nigeria has been suffering, a systemic ethnic profiling that evidently APC, Egbe thiefnubu, his wife, his, you know, people around, all these APC guys, you can easily tell about their obsession. Initially, people said the reason this has gotten to this stage is because an Igbo man wanted to be president of the contraption. That's the Peter Obi. But that is going to be like telling the half of the story. I just told you about how despicable that murderous, lifeless Bokwari was. The president of a country that should be uniting his own people, is at the forefront of the dog whistle of why the Igbos have not learned their lesson. So the reason why I refer to that again is because it happened. So therefore, there's nothing called victim mentality, right? And from my own experience, those who have used their politics to weaponize tribal, ethnic, and religious differences to keep people divided, right? There will be a time that they are likely not going to see the same set of people they use as their scapegoats. And when they don't, then they will turn to another one. And that is what you call when the table turns. What happens when the Igbos are no longer part of Nigeria? And the criminal politicians that have built a system that has become so compromised, that has also contributed to the stagnation of that contraption for years. So there are those who deny it. They love to live in denial of it. But those people cannot kind of be forgiven because they actually know that these things exist. So that's why we call it a systemic. So systemic is not an individual thing. Systemic is when an action is taken and it can actually affect tens, hundreds, thousands of people. That is a systemic. That is something that nobody should sugarcoat because it is the same weapon. If it can be used on the Igbos or targeted at the Yorubas or the Hausas or the Fulanis, and I'm talking about our children, that makes it very much dangerous, talking about compromise the system. So yesterday, when the JAMB registrar, Akinlolu burst into tears on the national television, regretting what they have done to these young people. A lot of reactions followed, like lots of reactions followed. There were those who were trying to commend him, like those who were clapping for him in that hall. To commend him for being so straightforward, or he's an honest, and because his history, especially since he became the registrar from when he was at the VC of University of Ilorin, what's that called? Right? So he's got the record of being prudent and also running JAMB. Like no longer running a deficit, sort of, right? That's the way they put that description. So before him, JAMB used to be a cesspool of corrupt rogues that sells examination funds to students, makes some money, but it's like charade, right? The credibility of such exams were always like put to question, corruption, credibility. Then this guy came, and for the first time, they said JAMB stopped running on deficit, which means they started making money. JAMB was not supposed to be a money-making agency, but well, under Bukwari, it turned one, and that became the star medal they put on the chest of Akinlolu. So he blamed other vendors. So what happened? So they said they built a system. This is me explaining it to you in a layman now, because if I begin to use the words they use, right, we're probably going to be here. It's going to be like you're just watching an AI generated nonsense. Okay, so let me explain it to you in a layman, right? So they have what they call the examination clusters, clusters, global, like small cubicle like that. You get clusters, and that is where they put everybody. So they have over 880 or so centers. You see, over 880 centers like that, right? So they now put everybody in that cluster. So in each cluster, right, they now built something called a patch on that. So they now, it was like this, say, okay, those of you who are from I'll use regional stuff now, okay? Those of you from the Northwest, or everybody who comes in from the Northwest of Nigeria, right? They will be on the patch A. Everybody who came from the Northeast, North Central, they'll be on B and C, right? So, And these patches, right, the way they build them, they have to serve all those candidates in a way that it's called the CBT, right? So it's computer. It will generate the questions for each candidate in such a way that the answers and everything is also kind of like will be generated by the computer when it comes to marking. So everything is meant to be like that. Accurate setup, northeast, northwest, north central, southwest, southeast, south-south. So 1.5 million or so students registered and 379,999 students, right, registered from eastern part of Nigeria. So what they now did was that when they built a patch that was supposed to be southwest, they should combine all the southwest states. That's not how it works. So they now built Lagos. So the patch for Lagos is different from the patches for the southwest. You get that now? So they now link that of Lagos to all the schools, so all the centers in the eastern part of Nigeria. So this is what now, like I said, there's already a distrust in the system, serious mistrust, that a lot of people believe that, you know, things don't just happen now. That people used to feel like maybe they just happen, maybe it's just a mistake, maybe it's just a coincidence, but these days, you'll be too dumb to believe everything is coincidence. Everything is no longer coincidence. So we begin to question it, right? So I'll take you back to that room yesterday so that you can listen to the excuse given by this guy on this. So when the patch, right, from the one with Lagos, part of Lagos, like half of Lagos, so, and you know something, what makes it even more suspicious is this, okay? They have not given us evidence of human error yet, too. So I am just giving you the pieces of information that are really out there. Here you get. So you can put them together by yourself. So they haven't cited any human error. But here is something. You see this patch here, right? That is linked to the entire 5 states of the eastern Nigeria, linked to it. Surprisingly, coincidentally, the centers that got cancelled in Lagos cover the areas, local government areas, like Ajeromi, Felutun, you know, all those First Tag, Maitu, Kirikiri, and all those areas, Shashi, you get, that have a massive population of Igbos. Again, this can't just be a coincidence as well. This is what people are saying. Like, this can't just happen. Like, so when this, and mind you, last year, when they were discussing this issue of ranking and all of that stuff, in their examinations, national examinations, WAEC, NECO, UTME, JAMB, yeah, and others. So they said that the eastern part of Nigeria are doing so well, especially Imo State, not even Anambra now, Imo State. So they said they have a system of kind of like, maybe you don't know this, so I'm saying it now. I can't remember the name. They actually have a system where some of their students that are going for any examinations, whatever examination, they have platforms whereby some of them can sign up. And when they sign up, right, they have access to all these materials and all of that stuff. They share all this information among themselves enough that they can have a clue of what their results will be even before it comes out. So immediately JAMB released that result. It just triggered an uproar everywhere. The children were confused. And even their teachers, their tutors, everybody, like principals, people were like, this can't be real. Do you know what they had to say? Especially the minister of education, appointed by thiefnubu. You know what he said? He said, this is the first time that they are using the best software that gives the truest state of people's examination now. Like the result released is actually the truest state of, things. And guess what he said? He said their software has removed miracle centers. Minister, that's what he said. He said they've removed miracle centers. And that is why you see all those places where people failed en masse. It's because our machine has removed the miracle center. And the Ronukus on social media, they couldn't believe their luck. It was like a gold mine. We told you, now miracle center, this and that. This systemic sabotage. This is the reality of Nigeria. Sure you get. And of course, it is happening to the children from the Eastern Nigeria. So people were so kind of like raving angry, like, what are you doing? Like, so it was the pressure that prompted the man to now come out yesterday. And then you saw what you saw yesterday, right?
As registrar of JAMB, I hold myself personally responsible including for the negligence of the service provider and I unreservedly apologize for it.
That was a remorseful JAMB registrar at a news conference. This admission of culpability follows an avalanche of complaints by parents of UTME candidates who failed the examination and the unfortunate suicide of a 19-year-old student in Lagos who killed herself after receiving a score of 170 in the examination. JAMB attributes the error to a system's failure and is apologizing to students and parents for the trauma caused.
We deploy our system to the use of high-profile organizations within and outside Nigeria as part of the broader strategy of ensuring that everything works well when we need it to work. As part of our preparation for this year, we updated our system from form-based to the single-item-based examination, the latter of which is the in-thing presently internationally. We simulated this system, streamlined our Autobot and Auto system, and still went ahead to develop our own JAMB test, a software innovated in-house by a small team led by our own staff, DUBEM. We improved on the examination system, simulated everything end-to-end before the examination, and we thought everything was perfect. All the layers, including using dummies, were deployed this year, but despite that, an error happened. It is a classical manifestation of the axiom that man proposes, but God disposes.
Out of 18,000 complaints received by JAMB, 15,000 have been verified to be correct. To remedy the situation, about 207,000 candidates will retake the UTME in 65 centers in Lagos and over 173,000 candidates in 92 centers in Owerri zone.
Within 24 hours of rigorous work, we were able to isolate where the problem emanated from, as I've said earlier on. It happened in 65 centers in Lagos and 92 centers in Owerri zone. That is covering the cities, just as Ibadan is regarded as Ibadan zone, covering all the 5 states of the southwest. Owerri is also covering all the 5 states of the east, of the southeast. But Lagos stands alone because of the huge number that is coming from Lagos alone.
Already, some parents have threatened a class action against JAMB for the mass failures originally released.
I can tell you, and I can prove to you, that what I'm saying now, if you ask me to place my WhatsApp number here and for parents to contact me, before tomorrow we will have about 1,000 parents. If those children are kept in a place and on camera to write this JAMB, you will see that most of them will clear the JAMB. So it is not the children who have not prepared well. It is JAMB that has just messed up the efforts of these children. And that is why I'm saying it on national television. If you bring her in on camera and you give her these questions, she will clear it. I am very confident that my daughter will clear those papers.
Apart from being representing Mr. Akinlolu here, we are pleased to say that we are also representing the millions of Nigerians that JAMB has failed.
For now, about 300.
Together. So they sent a guy. Did you hear the part where he said, man proposes, God disposes? Is that, or deposes? Is that what he said? I mean, is that what? Okay, they actually tweeted it. Yes, they tweeted it yesterday. After saying the reason why these people failed. They even tried to say, the person, the IT, the head of their ITO, now I'm on Mr. Okoro, only to get debunked that this Mr. Okoro was removed after thiefnubu took charge and replaced with one Fumi Usman or something. Now this Okoro has face. Fumi Usman has no face. So the person who was supposed to have been responsible for this supposed glitch. Like I said, they sent somebody onto space on Twitter to go and give people the reason why what happened. Maybe you can get convinced.
And we begin to feel that night we couldn't sleep. We begin to feel some feelers that yes, there could be something wrong. And immediately, without even investigating to find out what could have been wrong, we summon all the parties concerned and stakeholders, whoever could come within the shortest possible time, so that we'll sit down together, because we believe that two or three good heads are better than one. And we went through the whole 882 centers, center by center, marking both manual and electronics. And that was how we were able to fish out this thing. And what happened? It was just a case of, let me just situate it in this way, that somebody was supposed to upload something, just like you send an email with your laptop, and you wait to see a sign that, okay, this thing says sent, and then you close your laptop. And the person just sent without waiting for it to deliver, and then he shut down and then left. This person technically is not even a staff of the board, but is a service provider that the board had hired, paid huge sum of money to do what he was supposed to do. I am not supposed to go do it because it's as if one is shifting responsibility. But just to douse the tension that people are feeling that maybe somebody somewhere, a staff or ethnic and all this, it has nothing to do with our ethnic or fault line or any coloration and all those things. It's unfortunate. It's something that we never envisage. And when we finish the exam, we look at all the parameters and assume that everything was on board. And the system marked the result, did the normal normalization that we do, and we release the result. We are much more than careful in doing our operation. In fact, if you see, the registrar is somebody that for some of us, we feel that is even too involving. Is somebody that we want to know who even comes in at the gate. He's involved in every aspect of the board. So the issue of whether competence or carelessness from his own part is not there. It's just that no matter how involving you are, no matter how competent you are, no matter how engaging you are, as long as you cannot do the whole thing alone, certainly somebody somewhere will let you down out of negligence and all this. And I want to believe that even the person that is involved, he didn't do it out of the fact that, okay, let me do this thing. It was just sheer carelessness that he didn't understand the responsibility that was placed on his shoulder. It's unfortunate that this thing happened and a section of the country is involved. And it's unfortunate that at least to some extent, it will begin to cast some this thing on our area of operation. But don't forget that we'll do exam. Somebody just talked about postgraduate college of surgeons, postgraduate college of physicians, CBT. We conduct that exam for them. We conduct exam for postgraduate college of surgeons, Ghana, and all these things. We conduct international examination. We've never had any of such situation. Nobody has ever contested our result. We also have capacity to release result instantly. But when things happen, certainly people, it's just like somebody, they found you with something and things have been missing and you are found with, of course, they will say you are the one that has been stealing all the things that have been missing and stuff like that. and you will not be in a position to begin to defend yourself. You say, it's only this one and all this. And it's because of that that we are apologizing, and we believe that we'll give this candidate the opportunity and they will do their best. Somebody had earlier asked that he checked his result and he saw that it shows something I can't really remember what he said. Some of these candidates, he belongs to a category of candidates that we discovered that they were in a WhatsApp group where somebody was soliciting for payment. That if you pay a certain amount of money, your scores will be inflated and stuff like that. So we went into that group, and all candidates that paid money or patronized that particular group harvested their registration number, and then we withheld their result. The essence is that if we are bringing up credible Nigerians, whoever he wants to patronize frauds, and then he wants his scores, it's not possible to even inflate the scores. But for the fact that you are there and you are thinking of that, it's also a crime in its own sense. So that is why that result was not released and stuff like that. So we
Dr.
appreciate.
Benjamin, somebody
Yes.
would like to, sorry to cut you short, someone would like to find out, these students that are rewriting, will they be paying for it?
No. They're not paying. Nobody is paying. It's free. And, at the point of registration, you choose your examination time, which is close to where you are. So they will be scheduled for the exam within the areas. We have notified them. First of all, they have started printing notification slip already. And we have also spoken to WAEC. Because somebody had asked elsewhere that why are we so fast about it that we should have given them time and all this things. Because the examination bodies, WAEC, NECO, NAPTEP, before the conduct of the exercise, we sit down and then we look at timetable, and every agency is given a slot for it to utilize. And we had already taken our own slot. WAEC is writing the exam now. After WAEC, NECO will follow suit and stuff like that. So we had to plead with WAEC to give us this particular space. And we feel that if we begin to stretch this, the tension will be too much for this candidate and all this thing. So that is why we are doing everything humanly possible. We slept in the office yesterday till this morning to ensure that at least this exam takes place, so that this candidate will also have a release. And immediately we all this thing will release the result, and then adjust the statistics and then also publish it as we have done before.
Okay. Some people also asked that, is it?
Don't worry. So currently, the Ronukus and the senior Ronukus, especially the Abrodian Ronukus, they are on the road right now, trying to polish the image of Ishak, right, as a very good person, a very competent this and that. And that mofo that just finished talking, so he said they've never had anything like this before. Okay, there's always a first time. Okay, I understand. He said Ishak is always involved, which means, according to him, Ishak is involved in screening the supposed vendors that worked for them. So that guy said an unknown staff, a ghost staff, have access to JAMB data that he was supposed to upload something and he forgot. He closed the laptop. That's what he said. He said he closed the laptop. That was what caused. And the moment he closed the laptop like this, the software just started allocating score to the 379,999 students from the eastern part of Nigeria alone. That's very easy. Like, go and tell them that they are stupid people. Go and say it to them. They can't even differentiate what you are saying. So go on and say that to them. Because that's the way I see it. But to make the matter worse, remember that time that the first controversy that happened was on the day of this supposed Utomi JAMB test, right? When the children were posted to far centers. I'm talking about centers that are far away from their homes. Some of them had to travel. Some of them had accidents on their way to or from the center of the examination. The examination was set to start at 8, but they made the students arrive, and their parents arrive at 6, but they miss out. Do you know something? The same JAMB has now rescheduled for these children, for something that is not fault of theirs at all. JAMB has rescheduled it, so they're going to do it tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, you are going to start seeing videos of children, and I'm talking about from the eastern part of Nigeria and a part of Lagos. Very convenient. Deliberately. He said they've never suffered anything like that before. Of course, like somebody had to kind of like intentionally compromise it. And the easy way is, oh, it's not our staff. It's just somebody from somewhere that got access to our data. He conveniently said that that's their spokesperson. Your children's data. Right. Anyway, talking about data, it has now been announced by thiefnubu's essay that they want to tackle the insecurity in Nigeria from the grassroots. So thiefnubu and his gang, they are now proposing to launch what they call the Forest Rangers. Is it Forest Rangers? Yeah, Forest Rangers, they are called. So Koolu says it's going to establish a heavily armed, I think that's the word. Hang on, I'm going to go look for the, for what do you call it? For the click, give me a sec. Yeah, so they said they are going to employ 130,000 well-armed forest rangers to protect, to defend their communities and protect the forests. They said they have 1,276 forests that needed to be protected. And each state would have the capacity to employ or recruit between 2,000 and 5,000 rangers. Hang on, it's not rangers, they call them forest guards, rather. It's called forest guards. There's not much details released, but from what I sort of like, caught from this guy, right? It was like, they said the recruitment and the training will be supervised by the Office of Ribadom. I said security agencies or traditional rulers and community leaders will be involved in the processes. Right? What's that more? Okay. Each state to recruit between 2,000 and 5,000 heavily. That's the word I've been looking for. Heavily armed and well-trained forest guards, depending on its financial capacity. Remember, you're talking about state police as well, right? So heavily armed indeed also includes them being given automatic rifles. But I kind of like that, but I'm also very skeptical. Listen, you can call me, doubting Thomas, Thomas. We are talking about APC. I mean, this one sounds good if they have the political will to do it. You know what I mean, right? It simply means that each state, depends on their financial capacity, each state can recruit at least 2,000 heavily armed. You see, that's the one I want to, heavily armed. Amotekun is not, the Amotekun, right? They are not allowed to carry automatic rifles. So now, for us, for example, for us in Yoruba land, where we have Amotekun, so I don't think any Yoruba governor currently have any excuse not to go to the market and buy any sophisticated weapon they can lay their hands on right now. And I mean, they don't need to recruit any new one anymore. Sure, you get. In eastern part of Nigeria, Maazi Nnamdi Kanu already reached it all when he assembled over 10,000. Imagine that. Man, that guy is so smart. Come to think of it, right? There are currently 5 states in the eastern part of Nigeria. So, in the year 2022, was that when we did the ESN? I can't remember now, but 2021, rather, when Maazi Nnamdi Kanu launched ESN, he actually started with 10,000 young men and women, trained under the radar of this supposed Nigerian, under Boko Haram, as much as they feel like they have all the power. He trained them. Overall, how he managed to pull over 10,000 young people together in the eastern part of Nigeria, trained them, and then kind of like distributed them to the 5 states of eastern part of Nigeria. But you know what happened, right? While Nnamdi Kanu with that creativity brought that to life, the foresight, do you know what the Igbo governors did? The Igbo governors called themselves the Igbo governors led by Devulumayi, that one Obaino, Ekweazu, the other one from Enugu, Buruburu. It's got a name though, I can't remember anyway, right? As well as Oples, Uzodingba. At the time, they all came together and decided to set up what they called Ebubeagu. Ebube Lizard. While the ESN was going after the Fulani terrorists in the forest. Okay, I mean, one of the mistakes I think they made at the time was kind of like making the videos of that, because it was so effective that it provoked Bokwari, that he called all these Igbo governors to do something about it. And what did they do? They set up Ebubeagu. Ebubeagu was not to go after Fulani terrorists, though. Ebubeagu was to go after ESN forest rangers. I'm talking about Igbo security outfits funded by the supposed Igbo governors from the 5 Igbo states. They sent these recruits after the ESN simply because they were going after the Fulani terrorists. And they were using their media to say, oh, it is this ESN in the forest that is, that are kidnapping people. Nnamdi Kanu, the ESN, they are kidnapping people because they just need to destroy them for daring to go after these terrorists. So if thiefnubu is serious right now, the ideal thing right now, number one is, he would have to free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, like release him unconditionally at this point right now, because I don't know what else it needs to kind of prove to you that everything they are crucifying him for, persecuting him for, and most of all those things have either happened or even some of these guys have indirectly agreed with him. Because now they want to hire 130,000, right? To go after the supposed terrorists that have occupied the Nigerian forest. She says, that sounds good, right? Release Nnamdi Kanu. And you don't need to worry yourself. The structure is already on ground. Just direct these resources, empower these ones who are already doing it. And maybe in a month, you probably would never believe the result, because not only that would they have sweep off these terrorists to the far distance, and since they are not going to be doing it alone anymore, right? It means once they chase them out of Biafra land, if they chase them into Yoruba land, we have our own heavily armed Amotekun that will confront them. So by the time you fire those ones, you go fire, and the others will try to escape. As they are escaping to Kwara, those in Kwara in the North Central Plateau states, Benue, Taraba, you will be all those places, right? They too, they will bring out their own Amotekun. Heavily armed fighters. Before you know it, within 6 months, people will be back on their farms, and the terrorists will be gone if thiefnubu means it. But there is no clearly explained pathway. It's just an announcement, just the same way they announced local government autonomy. Here is what somebody has to say about that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. In the first place, that the intention is very good. It's all an attempt to solve a problem-solving approach to issues. Section 14B provides that the primary purpose of government is security and welfare of the people. The government is very, very concerned, at least Mr. President is showing concern about our security of this country, particularly our forests, because if our forests are not safe, our farmers cannot go to work, cannot go to farm, and of course, issue of food security will be a challenge. But then the question is, like I said, it's very good intended, very good idea, and timely too. But the point is that my worry is that these are going to be recruited in all the states of the federation, and when are they going to be trained collectively? Are they going to train by individual state? And who are they going to be provided with the equipped and the training, given them the necessary capacity? Because already we have the armed forces, we have the police, we have no security agencies. Who is going to regulate them? Are they under a particular agency that will regulate them? Is it the police or the military or the civil defense? Who regulate them? Regulate this forest guard. Because they need to be regulated, they need to be controlled, they need to be trained and given rules of engagement. And again, will they be given the capacity that will be able to cope effectively with the bandit? The bandits are well armed. They're well armed. They're not just, it's not a child's play. And these are young men who are going to be recruited, being trained, and given the capacity. But then the question is like I said earlier, it is a very good intention, very good idea to ensure that our forests are safe. But the question asked again is that the NSA will coordinate with the Ministry of Environment. Are they going to do the training, or the police going to do training, or the military going to do training and distribute to the state? These are areas that the details need to be made known, because otherwise it will be a challenge. Because if these young men are not well trained and equipped, and are given the capacity to be able to ensure that they are armed, they can actually face a bandit squarely, effectively, it might also be a problem, because the arms, if they become so vulnerable, they are being attacked by bandits, and they are young men who have just been recruited, no experience, they might have a little gunshot, they may be scared, and the bandits may even seize their arms and get them captured. So the point is that we need to be ensured that we have an effective, well-formidable squad or team that will do this job. And that we have to make sure that they are well trained and given the capacity. And if I think the military could have been, or the military or the police could have been expanded and employ more soldiers, giving them more equipment who are already used to military operations, but these young men who are just coming, being recruited and trained. I'm sure the training, how long will it take to be trained? Is it 6 months, 3 months, or 1 year? To be able to face the bandits. Bandits are ready to give their life. And the young men, I think it's a good idea, like I said, but it's well intended. But how the implementation is the question I want that to be addressed. How are they going to be trained? Who is going to regulate them? Would they have more capacity than the military that have been there on ground, or the police who are?
And we are competing with armed robbers and the bandits to recruit from the youths who are unemployed. 33% unemployed. Recruit 50 million youths into the army and the other thing. Take away from their recruitment source. What they will eat? Cassava, agbado, corn in the morning, yam in the afternoon. It's growing here. You create demand and consumption. For over 5 million army of boot camps. We create our food. That's money for the farmers. That's consumption for the soldiers and skill development. Don't call them illiterate. Don't talk about illiteracy. Anybody who can own gun, who can handle gun, who can cock gun and clean the chamber and cock and shoot is technically competent to repair a tractor in the farm.
70 years old man.
Koolu. So, leaving that aside though, right? If the right thing is to be done, like genuinely, Because all of these, they are signs of a failed country to start with, you know. But the idea of a forest guard, right, is also not a bad idea, like that person put it. But we all know why they are doing this forest guard or no forest guard, right? And then the idea of training them, this and that is, come on. What happened to your Nigerian army? It's been over 10 years now that the terrorists have taken over Sambisa Forest. At the point, they said they had ground zero. Buratai the Butcher once bragged that they've taken over Sambisa, but it was part of their stunt at the time. It didn't last. But come on, in this 2025, you want to recruit those you are going to send into the meat grinder. But the terrorists who are so brutal enough that with the technology and what have you today, the terrorists themselves already have drones now. But they have drones, oh. You don't even need to get closer to them before they nuke you. So they will recruit people, while those ones that they are supposed to have trained, I'm talking about their own soldiers, their military, Air Force, all of that, right? Underfunded. And somebody said they should get equipment for them. Baba, they are exchanging Nigeria equipment with a terrorist. Terrorists will attack a military base, shoot at the soldiers. They will run away, some will die. Then they will take away the weapons. Then they will burn down the entire barrack. And they repeat this same procedure. It's not new. We've seen it several times. So the whole thing is deliberate. The corruption to compromise and sabotage the effort is deliberate. There's no amount of, because even in fact, you see, it's about people behind it, though, right? You can't trust them. They cannot be trusted. If they tell you something, right, all you have to do is just to question it, and then you will see through it so glaringly. Like, it is so easy. Like, they will tell you things that sometimes you'll be like, man, this one is too good to be true. Because it is. We're talking about APC, okay, but they cannot be trusted. Even if you want to try. But look at that good idea. It's a brilliant idea. The same problem that currently, you know, the military in Nigeria, or the soldiers in Nigeria, what they are facing right now, is the same that the vigilantes on our forest guard, heavily armed. That word heavily armed, right? If we are not in reality, sounds so good to say, yeah, give us weapons to defend ourselves. Or everybody, let go, defend ourselves. Or they should send people into the forest after them, right? Special forces. But Nigeria hired, I think they were like a 30 or so mercenaries against the almighty Boko Haram. Mercenaries. So Nigeria, almighty Nigerian army, right? Where they have become so compromised at the time. But look at it. Less than 30 mercenaries from South Africa at the time, right? But they decimated Boko Haram so much that when Boko Haram came in, 24 hours after Boko Haram came to power in 2015, they sent all of them away. They cancelled all of their government immunity cover and everything, and they gave them 24 hours to leave Nigeria, or they will be arrested and paraded as a terrorist sponsor. That was how those guys left. And then Boko Haram regrouped. The rest is history today. Now Boko Haram have drones. ISWAP have drones. They said drones from Ukraine-Russia war. Dirty drones, right? Kamikaze drones. Do you even understand what I mean, right? So if thiefnubu has the political will, this will sound, this is a brilliant idea. And it can actually help to supplement the already overstretched Nigerian army. Like, when I go that now, okay, just trying to say, okay, if they actually mean it, this is good. And you know something, right? If Nigeria, or if the people are allowed, okay, no, let me rephrase. If the criminals in charge of that contraption, if they should, by chance, decide to hand this ongoing ethnic cleansing, religious terrorism and all of that, if they choose to, despite their incompetence, Nigeria economy, right, will receive a boost. It's going to be like a shock boost. Because you know why? People used to grow their own food. Most of the people who are begging for food today, right? They used to have their own farms. Some of them, I'm talking about those people. You see all those people who visited become refugees. That are being chased away from their land and from their homes, from their and then ending up hundreds of kilometers away from the ancestral land in refugee camps, in squalor, and all. They used to feed. They never used to depend on peanut from anybody. These were people who were growing their own food in their own communities. They are in large number. They were able to feed their families. Today, they have joined the long list of Nigerians that are now starving, begging for food. Do you understand what it means if they can go back to their homes, like genuinely, where they can leave all this, your cup of rice, spaghetti, and other stuff they take to them to take their pictures. They can actually, they are not rich, but they are not also wretched than what they have now. As incompetent as your criminal leaders are, if they can just get rid of this insecurity that is so deliberate, sponsored terrorism against the indigenous people of Nigeria, if they can get rid of that, you will see improvements in your economy. It's not like you're going to be out of the woods, but listen, it's never going to be this worse. The reason why their incompetence got exposed this much is that people that you never get to know about, that were always on their own, right? They have now joined, the basket case of what APC created. But they won't do it. It doesn't have the political will. Just say it to them and share them on, and they will say, yeah, and all of that. That's it. It's just another problem coming. APC, another problem coming. Just about last week, a group called Yetiala gave a press conference where they said they have lost over 50,000 Fulani herdsmen to cattle rustlers and terrorists. That's what they said. They said they have lost their men to terrorists. They have also lost over 2 million cows. And you see these people from TV land, Director Scott, your people have decided to reply, or in fact to challenge them. Like, what are you even talking about? We have evidence of how thousands of our people that you have slaughtered across Benue and Plateau. How dare you come out and try to make it more or less like, we are coming after to kill your people and all of that stuff. So if you can't present any evidence, people shouldn't be giving them an audience, right? Thor Thief, which happened to be the paramount ruler of TV, I believe. Is that not Thor Thief? I don't know how to pronounce that right, but I know it's Thor in a gathering today.
We had always looked forward to a very robust engagement with our stakeholders, for we have seen that in the last 10 years, some of our members who live bohemian lifestyles have been so affected, and there had been no succor for them all over the place. And one very frightening incident we are seeing is that everybody associates them with criminality, but the criminals are only very few of them. We have urged governments, especially the northern state governments, to take action. We had been invited 6 years ago, to make a submission of what we think can work out, but nothing had happened. So we are now very happy that the federal government, with the new livestock development plan, will at least give some kind of breathing space so that our bohemian brothers can find a way of livestock production that can be very peaceful. And we are very much happy that we are part of this. We will work hard. We have lost over 50,000 people, and we have lost over 5 million herds of livestock in the last 10 years. And there had never been any support. And unfortunately, the few who are involved in what is termed as criminality has tarnished the image of everybody. And wherever a Pullo is now seen, he is tagged as a criminal. And we suffer from the stigmatization of the media. We are the only group of people whose members, when they commit crime, it is all attributed to the whole race. I think this is a very dangerous trend, and it need to be taken care of by whoever is concerned. But we, as an association, our objective has all along been to encourage the modernization of livestock production system. We know that time has come, the land will not increase, and the population is increasing, so the continual movement of our people across space that sometimes generate the conflicts that we are seeing, I think will have to come to an end. But it can only come to an end when government presents a viable alternative. You know, you cannot change people's culture overnight. They suffer from climate change, they suffer from... It is only our people who don't depend on government. They are not looking for boreholes. As is and now, nobody gives them anything. If they go to hospital, they pay with their own money. So I think this kind of engagement will go a long way in helping our members find peace with other communities that they live with.
I want to appreciate the representative of Magban that spoke here. The difficulty in what we are dealing with, you are talking about headers and killer headers and criminals. It's a situation where the mechanics are there and the madmen have joined them. They all dress in the same way. So if you come here and tell us that there are a few criminal elements that have joined the headers and they are spoiling the show for all of you, the model you need to first do is drive away the madmen among you. Any other story you tell us without doing it is playing to the gallery. If you have madmen among you, you know the madmen, deal with the madmen, let the Senate, the mechanics we know. The mechanics we know, in my illustration, were the original herders we knew that will come, growing up in this environment, they will come only with staff to guide the herds so that they will not destroy farms. That's the herders. In one of our meetings of Northern traditional rulers some years ago, a traditional ruler rose up and made the statement you made today, and my heart jumped. He said, you cannot change the culture of people overnight. What culture are you talking about? Is it culture of killing? What culture are you talking about? Is it a nomadic culture of moving up and down? That culture didn't have problems. That culture didn't seek to take over our land. That culture didn't seek to kill us. That culture didn't seek to destroy our farms, our livelihoods. That's not the culture we know. What we have now are criminal headers carrying assault rifles, killing our people, maiming them, raping our women and our daughters, dispossessing us of our land, and even when we harvest our crops and bring them home, they come to our homes, destroy our houses, bring out our harvests, for their cows to eat. Is that the culture? No, I beg to differ. Any culture that is killing people, maiming people, taking over their livelihoods, burning their property, does not require 1 second notice. That culture must end immediately. If you come with heads, we will show you where the land is fertile, the grass is green, you will eat. But if you come right on our farm, people busy working, you are killing them. You are destroying our livelihoods, our farms. The whole year's labor is destroyed. That's an alien culture that cannot be tolerated in our environment. So for your own people, the model I say is that let the mechanics join hands and deal with the madmen. Then we will accept you. We have always done that in the decades past, where if a cow strayed and destroyed any farm, they will come quickly, settle, pay compensation, and move on. Now, in my domain, in Kwande, they have taken over more than 4 wards, and are staying. In my domain in Way West, almost all the 15 wards have been taken over, and the people have run to around Naka, and there is kidnapping and road blockage on the way every day. That's not a culture that we can accommodate in Benue State. So, Markaban, deal with your internal issues. If you say they are madmen, that you don't know them, you know them. They dress like you. They talk like you. They carry AK-40 what? 7 like you. You can't deceive us. If they are talking like you, walking like you, carrying guns like you, killing us like you, how can you say you are not part of them? So first, deal with the madmen among you. And come and present yourself clean, we will accept you. We have always done. It's just that things have changed.
We had always looked for.
Director Scott, that's a thought thief, right? The supposed paramount ruler of TV land. Is that him? That's what I saw, and I believe. Well, you have a hell of a king there, if that was him. And like somebody said that he should be protected. Under the current arrangement in that contraption, right? Well, I hope he's protected. Adara of Adara Kingdom was not that lucky in Kaduna. When he was invited by the El Rufaya, the Kaduna Little Finger, then over the Kaduna massacre, you know what they did to him? El Rufaya stood him up. I mean, he didn't show up to that paramount ruler. They told him to go back to his kingdom, that they would reschedule the meeting. On his way back, very close to his own supposed kingdom, Fulani terrorists that have been killing his people got the hint or the wind of his travel, probably had his travel plan and all that. They took him, took his wife, and demanded for ransom. They collected the millions of naira ransom for a paramount ruler, raped his wife. Then they killed him. Well, they let his wife go. What did they do? They dropped the lifeless body of a supposed paramount ruler at a three-path junction at Bicon, next to his kingdom, to humiliate him, because that's what they do, Fulanis. Historically, they come for your leaders, destroy them, kill them, and humiliate their corpse so that they will be like, say, this is where your leaders have been. Kind of. So yeah, I hope Torty is protected, must be protected. Because you see the people of Yagba, they are looking for their king. Fulani don't kidnap them. This is their king, old man. Oh. This man on your screen is Oba, is Royal Highness, or is Royal Highness, Oba JD Ogunyoda Ilufemiloye, and is supposed to be the king of a community in Yagba, local government area of Kogi State. What is Kabiesi? Right now, the people that took Kabiesi, they are demanding for 30 million naira ransom. Oba Iluniel. So you say, Allah Sheikh Jurisha, because that's what we call the kings in Yoruba land. They are the next to the gods. They are the voice of the gods. They are the representatives of the gods. That's why we don't argue with kings, except, you know, the political obas, the political kings, unfortunately. So what happened to the Alales? What happened to the Igbairumales? Kabiesi, what it did now? What is so Kabiesi Mole somewhere? Ilu gonna get 30 million. Shakpa is worrying everybody. So right now, they just had to stage a protest. More or less like an SOS. Ejeba say for Bawa Oba Ilu. Imagine if they could carry you. They carry your Oba. Now you they got carry because it was special. It's unfortunate. That's the state of insecurity in that place. When it gets to your turn, you shall get served. It is turn by turn Nigeria Limited, unfortunately. Nobody is safe. Even these ones who are parading themselves right now, they are not. And that is why the next video you're about to watch is that of Peter Obi. We are currently openly speaking up on what should be the punishment for those who put us all through this, or who are putting us all through this. He's proposing a death sentence for any convicted, corrupt public official. In his words, it was with Dele Momodu, who just turned 65 ahead. Yeah, Dele Momodu's birthday. Okay, so on that visit, Peter Obi.
Follow critical investment in critical areas of development. First, invest in education. Invest in health and productivity. If you do that, Africa today, in terms of land area, is the second biggest continent. Has the biggest youthful population, only out of 1.5 billion African population. As you know, about 1 billion of a youthful population in their productive age. Africa remains the only continent with over 60% of its arable land all cultivated. So how can you talk about hunger? You can't talk about hunger. And I've used certain examples. India. Africa is about 30.5 million square kilometers. India is about 3,000 plus, which means Africa is 10 times India's size. India produces nearly 150 million tons of rice. Africa as a whole produces about 25 to 6,000. So India produces 6 times the amount of rice Africa produces. What if it was even one that will show clearly that Africa is unproductive? is that Bangladesh is around 48,000 square kilometers plus, which is less than 1%. It's about 0.05% of African size. Bangladesh, but they produce twice the amount of rice that Africa produces. So it's incredible. You find out that it's not going to work. It's not going, there's no way. There's no way. Even in Nigeria alone, 60% of arable land is uncultivated. We have 923,000 square kilometers of land. Bangladesh is 148 plus. So Bangladesh is 1/6 of Nigerian size. Yet Nigeria does not produce 10% of the amount of rice Bangladesh produces. And it's there. It's not something that is rocket science. They have everybody to see. So you can go on and find out that Africa has no reason to be hungry. All we need to do is do the right thing. All these things are being affected by corruption. Because people no longer find value in hard work, in productivity, in entrepreneurship. You started your own business. You are working hard to earn a living. Today, people who have no daytime job live better than you live by far. People who have no office live like stars. So it is a crisis. So we must deal with the issue of corruption aggressively. Maybe what the Chinese people are doing. Make sure that the amount you steal is death sentence. The amount you steal is life imprisonment. The amount you steal is not less than 10 years imprisonment. So when you deal with it strictly, then you start investing in critical area of development which you can achieve organically by ensuring that those who will elect, one, are competent, two, have the capacity. Because you can be competent, but you have passed the age where you have the capacity to work. You must have the capacity to be able to move around and do the right thing. Three, have a compassion. And leadership without compassion is not a leadership. A leader must be somebody who feels that, listen, we have to do things to people. Citizens-led leadership. You must go 24 hours thinking about the people. Anything short of that, you're wasting your time. And all these things come with your character, with this and everything. So it's a critical thing we want to. But thank you for initiating the lecture.
I mean, we all seem powerless, but we're not too powerless. So we can make our own individual contributions. At least in the future, our children will not ask us, what did you do? You keep complaining, but you did nothing about it. So, but it seems that they are trying to encourage all of us not to bother. It's just to say, don't even talk. Don't even say anything. And because your friend is in power, then you should stop talking. So the only people you can criticize are your enemies. So, and for me, criticism is an advice. I don't see criticism as an attack. No. It's an advice. You know, if Thiefnubu is my friend, then why can't I advise him? Even Buhari that we said he was a soldier, when I wrote the memos against him, he invited me to a meeting. So, and I went there, I didn't go there with a CV. I didn't say I needed a job. I told him, I said, all presidents before you, I advised them. I appointed myself special advisor with that portfolio, free of charge. And I gave a compilation of what I wrote to
Anyway, let's leave that, okay? Because we all know that competence, character, and whatever Obi listed earlier, Dele Momodu works for Atifku. the man that is, how old is Atiku again? 84, 83. Oh, sorry, I think they said he's 17. I don't know. Like, even though we don't know that of thiefnubu, but thiefnubu currently uses the football age of 74, 75. So as for Atiku, I don't know. But he's an old guy, right? And who still wants to be president of that contraption, Atiku. So he had some guests around his place just 2 days or so ago, right? And he was telling them what they did when, under Obasanjo, and they were facing some insecurity, this and that. It was like, those ones who are there right now, they don't actually give a damn. It's something we already know, right? And that was Atiku.
You remember when the Boko Haram started, it was actually in 2002, we were in office. The president sent for me, VP, what do we do about it? It started in Yobe, actually. And I said, Mr. President, let's call the service chiefs and give them a deadline. If they can't put it down, then they should put down their uniforms and go away. We'll get some other people. And he called the service chiefs. I was there and gave them marching orders. Within a few weeks, they put down the insurgency in Yobe. It never came up again until we left office. So one, I will say there is lack of political will on our leaders. When they are killing your citizens, how you can even eat? They are killing your citizens and you don't give a damn. It's the greatest irresponsibility by any political leader, anywhere.
That's Atiku. Says Atiku Wiri. Oh, Kasongo Yeye. Anyway, I'm still looking for I'm still kind of searching for the meaning of Kasongo Yeye, because it's like they use that to, I don't know the meaning, but it's a little bit funny. Now, talking about surviving in that contraption, and while you are battling with the rogues in your government, the consequences of their actions and inactions, you still have to deal with the ones who are supposed to be victims like you, or rather, they are hunting their fellow to exploit, right? Take advantage of, and what have you. So a lady captured the moment that an old trick was being played, an old trick where fraudsters would tell their supposed, they would act like they are strangers. So they would tell their fellow passengers, or it may be a conversation between supposed passenger and driver, talking about certain money, some rituals they need to do in order to be able to spend the money, because this passenger took the money from our boss, and our boss is a ritualist, that anybody who touches the money would die. But right now, they are looking for a place to go and, what do you call that thing again? To go and atone, no. Okay. Like to go and kind of like make a sacrifice or thereabout to neutralize whatever charm it is on that money. So it's an old trick. We've had people who have fallen for that. In the process, they lost their personal belonging, including huge amounts of money. And most times they always say it was some juju or some charm used on them. No, there's nothing. It was the greed. But in this day and time, this young lady, they didn't bother to engage them. She actually recorded it for our own view. Listen, this happened, I believe, somewhere in Ibadan. Abeokuta.
gbé báàgì wọ̀ gbé báàgì wá gbé sí mọ́tò náà kẹ́ máa gbọ́n kan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn sísá o. Ilé wọn báàgì. $1.5 million. $1.5 million. Ẹ wá ń gbé láàrin gbogbo wá ń ṣe sinmi fún bílí. Ẹ wọ́ gàdáàbà ilé òkè ń sọ̀rọ̀ gàdáàjì àdé ṣéṣẹ̀ mọ̀mọ́ o. Àti ọlọ́ọ̀ṣẹ́ kàwé jù mí lọ owó tó ń sọ tábà olórí kọ̀m̀pútà bá wọn lọ sọ́run fún àsọ̀ntì lọ. Lọ́la àti ráìsì. Ẹ jẹ́ kó sẹ́tù ní Nàìjíríà làwọn sílẹ̀ tó gbé gbogbo ayé olóòlọ́ṣọ́ mọ̀dọ̀ ní Kòyísì. Àgbàlagbà ẹgbẹ́ mọ̀ọ́ṣọ́ mọ̀dọ̀ fún ọ́nsá. Ọlọ́mọba ń fi bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ìtumọ̀ gbọ̀n fọlọ́pàá. Má gbọ̀n fọlọ́pàá káwọn ọlọ́pàá gan-an wà sí sanfa sọ̀rọ̀ ajáde. Dáàdi ẹ̀ ìmúlẹ̀ ẹ̀gbọ́n oṣù mọ́tò ìdálówó ọ̀sẹ̀ ní ìtura àkọ́kọ́. Yàtọ̀ ní kó sọ́tù mi ìmọ̀lú ẹ̀tọ́ ìjọ kọ́mọ́ lọ́jọ́ ọlọ́pàá ní kẹ́mọ́ lọ gbọ̀n kan lọ́wọ́ kẹ́mọ́ lọ àlẹ́ sí. Àti wọ́n jókòó tí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ ìbọ́yọ́ ọlọ́pàá ní sẹ́tà ń ṣe. Tí wọ́n ẹjọ́ kí tó lè sọ́ọ́lì ìṣẹ̀jọ̀ ní mo sẹ́tẹ̀ ń sà. Ìwọ rẹ̀ mú wọn ti ń ta aṣọ ní ká mẹ́rin. Sẹ́tẹ̀ náà ṣe ló tó lè sọ́ọ́lì sí. Fọ́tò lẹ̀ yà ẹ̀ ti sọ náà ẹjọ́ kí tó lè sẹ́ni ta sísítà mẹ́jọ kí lẹ́rìí sọ̀rọ̀ ìmá. Lẹ́yìn láti cooperate pẹ̀lú mi àtàwọn tó wà ní mọ́tò yìí kí lẹ́bẹ̀ẹ́ sẹ́tù ẹ̀ àtàwọn tó wà ní bẹ́ẹ̀ kí n daṣọ àṣírí yìí gbóyè because tẹ́kọ̀ bá bùrù ìgbésẹ̀ tó dá sí ìlú ẹ̀. Máa fẹ́ ní kọ̀ọ̀kan ní $10,000.
$10,000. Sọ̀rọ̀ ní mo rí pé yóò sọ̀rọ̀ látàárọ̀.
Nígbà tí wọn kì í ṣe ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tó bá ti pọ̀ jù wọn lọ wọn náà wọn family wọn ṣe ẹ̀yìn parents ní àwọn akọ́lù tẹ́lẹ̀ ní school tẹ̀ wáyé ni ẹgbọ́n mi 1,000 láti calculate times 10,000 almost 16 million. Kẹ́gbàgbé wa sọ́kòtò wọn fáwọn ọ̀dà máa fún wa.
Àbá tí ò fẹ́ ti wọlé.
Dádì ẹ̀jọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kí n jẹ́wọ́ ẹ má tí ì lọ gbé. Kí lẹ fẹ́ sọ? Ṣé ẹ rí owó yẹ kì í ṣe pé mi gan fẹ́ gbé gbogbo ẹ̀ mo fẹ́ bu díẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Mo ṣe ń tọwọ́ bọ̀ lọ́ọ̀ ni mò ń ṣubú wọlé. Ló ń gbé ṣubú bẹ́ẹ̀. Ṣé ẹ rí àwọn ọmọ Kàlàbá wọn ń ja ọ̀gá mi lólé ọ̀gá mi wá lọ sí Saudi. Wọ́n lọ sí tílàdé rí báàgì owó méjèèjì tó wà ń bẹ̀. Wọ́n ní gbé wá sọ́dọ̀ sísá mi pé tó bá mọ̀dé pásítọ̀ tí ó mú mi lọ. Tàbálà àfẹ́ ìtẹ̀lé mi lọ́dọ̀ sísá.
Ọ̀dùnfẹ́ tí ìgbẹ́ ibi pàtó méjì mẹ́ta mọ́ lọ́wọ́ yẹn. Ṣùgbọ́n mo wá rí kíní kankan wélé wúlò àti fọ̀fọ́. Sọ ní tíra tó ń gbẹ́yìn ṣubú. Mo rí kíní ẹ̀rọ kíní ẹ̀mí ìjẹ́kí mi gan jí mi.
Ṣé rí àwọn sáà yẹn wọ́n wà dàbò ìkálẹ̀ ìṣá madam kẹ́ máa gbọ́ mi àti student o wọn kì í máa lo báńkì àwọn kan náà fi ń protect property wọn ni ó dà bí àwọn ìgbà mẹ́gbọ́n pa ìlú nǹkan nínú ọdún kì í ṣe wọ́n máa ń fi bí ìgbà wọn ṣe sí gbálẹ̀ tó lè wálé lábẹ́ ìfẹ́ gbálẹ̀ wọ́n ta bá ní ká máa mú ilé ọ̀dọ̀ àti ilé wọn ní fún ẹni tí a ní bébì.
Sísá ẹ̀yin ò tẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ kankan ní ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ látàrọ̀.
Kò sí bóyá tẹ́yìn bá ti drop ẹ̀ lè gbé wọn lọ.
Ó kẹ́yìn ò wá ẹ̀ ní wá ẹ̀ tẹ́tẹ́.
Wọ́n rán èmi iṣẹ́ ní kí fún ẹ̀ṣọ́ àbá aṣọ káàkiri.
Àwọn àbẹ́yẹ̀ sórí rẹ̀ ọlọ́mọdé jíṣẹ́ ọlọ́mọdé jíṣẹ́ fún láyé. Sọ̀rọ̀ 16 million ẹni wọ́n láyé iṣẹ́ ẹgbẹ́ 200 back.
Sorry if you don't understand Yoruba, but let me try. Let me try and explain to you what just happened in that video. So the lady that recorded the conversation entered the public transport, probably from one place to another. And immediately she got in. She met another passenger, supposedly a woman. Okay? Then the driver. Then another passenger seated in the front. Those two men, driver and the other passenger. But guess what? 3 of them are walking together. So the one in the back, who happened to be like another woman, acted as a passenger. She said that our boss, who happened to be a man, okay, they stole money from him. I think he died, so they stole money from him. Other staff, okay, said the guy went to Saudi Arabia. Mind you, most of what they are saying, they are mostly incoherent. Like when you begin to try to put the story together, but that's not the target. I mean, that's not the point. Their target is the greed of the next, this lady that entered the public transport, okay? So he said the boss did some voodoo on this bag of money, that bags of money, okay? And one of the bags, she took one, and inside that Ghana must go bag is $1.5 million. Now, $1.5 million, but they have a problem because right now she is, number one, she told them that she had money, right? And she didn't want them to take her to the police station because she was taking the money to her sister, who would be taking her to a prophet or anywhere that they can help pray. Because every time she tried to touch the money, she's like getting shocked, like shock. So in the process, the driver kept speaking to their targets by saying, Auntie, why don't you, I mean, you should say something to this thing now. I mean, she shouldn't take the money to a police station. I mean, what we need to do is just take her to somewhere well, it could be our own opportunity. And the lady was like, I'll give all of you $10,000 if you can help me. Here you get. So they started asking her, Auntie, you didn't even say anything since we have been talking. Instead of you to say something. And she said, well, maybe when I drop, you can continue to take her to wherever she's going. So you don't want $10,000. Do you know how much is dollar now? $10,000. That's like 17 million naira. She was like, no, they just sent me an errand. I'm not interested. So they sent you an errand. So is that how you are going to make it in life? Being an errand person. Oh, get out. So that means she did not fall. She is their mark. And she's lucky as well, because the same set of people also do what they call the one chance. If that's not going to work, they can rob you. And they can even like spray you something that you're going to lose your consciousness. And a lot of things can happen. So the lady captured that, and it's like, it is so old. You don't understand. Like, I've heard a lot of people who fell for that, right? Since maybe when I was like maybe 10 years old. But look at it today, 2025, grown-up men, adults, look at their faces. Saudi, okay. The story was like she took the money from her boss from Saudi. Everybody should go back to their country, that he didn't need them anymore. So the bag of money she's bringing it from Saudi. If you see their faces, right? Grown-up men, some people say parents, you will say, well, talking about people's parents. Remember they had APC, local government primaries, just a few days ago. And that didn't go well, because those who lost said they sold the form. Those ones who contested to be local government chairman, right? They paid 5.5 million naira per ticket. That's a lot, right? 5.5 million. They said they knew, the APC's leadership in Lagos knew the people they were going to give their tickets to, but they still made them pay. Only for these leaders to announce their prepared names after collecting their money. Right? And so people's parents to enter streets. For Shomolu, I've shown you other places before now, but this one was Shomolu. So that was Shomolu. They got short-changed. That's the word, short-changed. So if they can do that to themselves, imagine what they will do to you that are not a member of their party. Whenever they say they have an election, trust me. You can only imagine it. Just same way when I was talking about the extortion, violence that the youth of Edo State have been subjected to by the Nigerian police. Again, if you are not there, you can only imagine it. Like, how is it going to be like? What does it look like? Like, what is it like to be brutalized? What is it like that you have to actually pay money before you lose your life? So the same guys who are supposed to enforce the law, protect you in this instance, but they are now turning their guns on you, threatening to shoot you, and it's just like every day, everywhere, nobody is spared. They don't have any form of like, don't do it in this area or that area. It's all over those states. So today, somebody captured same event, same scenario on their way to the airport in Benin City.
Policeman handcuffed Ian and joined the guy and Airport Road, opposite Iron Pharmacy.
That's what life is like for the young people of Edo State. You have shown them your ID card story. Did you see that police officer there? That criminal. He cuffed the guy. Like he used that cuff on the guy and himself. He cuffed the guy to himself. Nigeria police. Anyway, as they say, it is what it is. So, brethren, thank you so much for your time again this evening. I am taking an early leave tonight, and maybe tomorrow we can have a phone in like we had it yesterday. So, thank you so much for spending your evening with me. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll be your evening, and I shall see you tomorrow. Good night.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Mayegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Mayegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Lórí Facebook lórí YouTube. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Mayegun máa wí. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Mayegun dayari politico. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Mayegun. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Àní Mayegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Mayegun dayari Mayebi number one. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Mayegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Mayegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn rákì. Mayegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Mayegun máa wí. jó ìgbádìyẹ. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. bí gómìnà kówó jẹ. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. ọlọ́pàá tí ń gba rìbá. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. òkúrọ̀ olóṣèlú. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. àníyàn sọ́ra jù. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀. oníkanṣá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. kì máa yí ṣe eré ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù. lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù. bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹ̀rùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sè mọ́bẹ̀. èèpo ọ̀bọ̀ lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ó ti jọba lórí àbínú ẹni kò sì mọ́ bùyà. àìsíwọ́lu ní ẹnìkẹ́ ìgbódì ẹyin lábàrá o ó kó ẹni tó bá dán o àkàmù. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ túnra kì o. ẹni bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dèrò òní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. Máyégún ti dé gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀ súnra kì. ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.